Hello, Jitesh. Good to see you, my friend. Namaste. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Jitesh, you seem to be frozen. Good evening, Deepak ji. Welcome, welcome. Friends, if you can hear me, please say yes in the chat box. Jitesh, I think you have frozen. Okay, he's going to come back. Let him rejoin. Thank you, Fareen. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. Welcome, Pramodji. Welcome, Brian. Welcome, Saurabh. Shandy, Deepak, Gagan. Welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Jitesh is back again. Hello, Jitesh. Can you hear me? Jitesh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. I just lost you.
No problem whatsoever. You know, these are internet.
Yeah, you were just fine talking about it.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Thank you, Balvinder ji. Thank you very much. And friends, I'm going to wait for another minute, and then I'm going to introduce Jitesh, and I'm going to talk about introduce myself, and then he will grab the mic from me. Good evening, Brian. Oh, wonderful! It's sunny in Worcester now. I thought it was cold a few days ago. Well, it's England, you never know. So Brian is. Let me tell you about Brian, Jitesh. Brian is a friend from Worcester. The Worcester sauce that we have. So Worcester, it's a little factory, and that supplies Worcester sauce across the world. I was shocked.
Wow.
It's just a little place, and he has his store there, which is called the Birder Store. So the bird watchers depend on him for all his equipment and binoculars and scopes and all the know-how. So he's going to be online a few days later with us, talking about his, birding experiences and all the equipment that he has to showcase.
Awesome. Worcester, yeah, I know Worcester in UK. I think I've been there long back.
Yes, it's a very pretty town. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with introducing Jitesh to you first. Let me quickly read out his introduction. So friends, Jitesh lives and breathes motorcycles and communities. A traveler, networker, international sales and marketing professional, Jitesh was named as Iconic Rider 2019 by Indian Motorcycle India. He is a highly recognized community builder within the motorcycling fraternity. Jitesh is the founder of Astride, a platform that enables and empowers motorcycle riding communities globally. Jitesh is also president of Indian Motorcycle Riders Group, which is IMRG, Presidential Chapter, New Delhi, India, and has co-founded two motorcycle clubs. Always working on innovative ways to help riders and riding communities, Jitesh's personal mission is to enable and empower riding communities globally. He promotes the importance of training, rider attitude, and focuses heavily on the use of proper safety gear. Ritesh also runs the motorcycling magazine on Flipboard, which has over 91K viewers, 4.9 million page flips, and curated over 30K stories and counting.
Yeah, that's been going on for years and years now.
Yes, that's fantastic. So let me tell you quickly about myself. Mine is not that illustrious. I am Mohit Agarwal. I'm blessed with 4 children, a son and a daughter, and 2 non-humans. One is a Labrador, and the other one is an escapee African grey. Awesome. I'm a follower of Shiva. Professionally, I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist with a deep love for nature. I help people travel to some wonderful places in Asia. I'm the founder of Asian Adventures, a 27-year-old travel company. It is the largest and #1 bird watching tour company in India. The company is on a large mission to help Asian elephants with their corridors, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, and help small wildlife NGOs, and also save the ancient Himalayan shrines. My interest is to promote ecotourism and convert every tourist to an ecotourist. So that was about me, Jitesh, and over to you.
Thank you, Mohit. really great to hear about you finally. In fact, a lot of things I didn't knew about it.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
have told me today. There
Yes.
are a lot of good friends out there, just giving a shout out to them before we start. So Deepak
Yes.
Gupta, I think you must know, it's one of the very dear friends. He's also promoting, riding, and of course, very, very focusing on responsible riding in terms of, gear, safety, and quite doing a lot of work in this area. And we have Balvinder is from my team. And then I think I can see a couple of friends in attendees also must be hearing us out. So hi guys, thank you so much for joining in. So let's start the presentation. In fact, I think that's what we're gonna talk about, guys, today. So I think Mohit and guys, you must understand, and we just want to give you a background in terms of what all this is about. But let's talk about who I am and why I'm talking about all this today with you guys. And we'll take you through exactly what we want to leave the impact today with this webinar with Mohit. So let me tell you about myself. My name is Jitesh. I am a founder of a startup called Asteroid. So Asteroid is a social platform that enables and empowers riding communities globally. So it's a social network where all the riders can come together. They can plan their rides. They can, share those rides with everybody else in the same community on the platform itself. They can chat with each other. They can manage their groups online. They can share those groups with other people outside. What it basically does, it connects riders between riders, and of course connects rides between riders as well. So if you are new in town, for example, you're looking for a ride or you're looking for a group to join, Asteroid is the place to go. And the most important part of the whole platform as of now is the ride planning. So it does ride planning like no other platform out there in the world does it. It makes it so simple, it makes it so intuitive, and whoever hasn't used it, I urge you to go download and use it. Before Asteroid, of course, I had a life. I've been riding motorcycles from last 15 years in India, in UK, and France. So my bug, motorcycling bug, hit me back in the days when I was in the UK. And there, one of the days, I think I went to the Auto Expo. It's quite London, UK. London Auto Expo is quite big. Used to be even bigger those days. So that's where the bug started. And then I started riding there. Then I went to France. I was riding there in France too. And then, of course, came back to India and started riding. From the career perspective, I've been fortunate to, work with very diverse, fields. I was working with Scientity, which was a design company in Gurgaon. Before that, I was heading a French company into extreme engineering. So we were doing civil engineering projects, underwater in dams to mountains. That's what also gave me access to a lot of places in India, which are typically restricted for tourists. And I also helped companies, in space industries, in defense industries. MAP is another company I work, help them in India. And typically, it's literally rocket science, guys. So talk about me whenever we have chance. Cool. So let me talk a bit about Asteroid as well. Let me see there. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments as I speak. If there are questions, guys, please share them in the chat box. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. So Asteroid is it's a dream. I have been wanting to build and do something for the fraternity from a long time, especially since I started riding with Indian Motorcycle. We initial days we were finding a lot of issues in terms of how we were planning rides, how people were coming on those rides. So every weekend, every big ride, we were struggling. We were having unique problems, and some of them were repetitive. I can give you some examples. We couldn't track riders in a group at that time. We can't plan the rides the way we wanted to ride. We wanted to plan today. So there are not all the social platforms we call like Instagrams or Facebooks or WhatsApp. they're not built for riders. They're not purposely built. They are great communication tools and, of course, social tools as well. But it's not for the bikers. A small thing like ride planning, you can't do that on Facebook or WhatsApp. You need proper tools which will show you the routes, which will tell you the weather, which can save your rides, or all those specifics we need as riders. So that's where the journey started, and I was, researching in India, outside India, if there are platforms which can help us run these communities. I was a chapter director here in Delhi. I had hard time finding solution, which can help me. So another problem we were facing, like in the morning when we were leaving for rides, I had no clue, who is coming for those rides. Most people say yes, but they don't show up. So you were calling them in the mornings. No, they're not answering the phone. If they're on the way, I have no clue. So you're waiting for 20 minutes, half an hour after the rides. And it always ended up in a mess. And it's a stressful job for admins to, organize rides when the number is huge. They have no clue who all are coming, who all are on the way. So Astride solves all those problems, and we just getting started on that. The whole ride planning, it makes it so simple, and you can share the rides with everybody else you want to share. That those can be your groups, those can be your your communities or friends for that matter. So no other platforms does that for you today. And you have the routes, you have the inclusions, you have the weather, everything what you need for a ride is built in right there in the platform. So it's just go to it's a tool which you can use to, of course, manage and plan your rides, but you can do much more. And the whole theme of ecotourism, which we were talking about today, I think ride planning is the essence, is the center, line of that whole purpose. When we ride, the first thing we do is we plan our rides, and I think Astride is a great fit and great product which can help you get started. All right, I'll take questions, Mohit, in between. When we have some slides which we can talk about.
Absolutely, up to you to decide when you want to take
Sure.
questions, or it's
Sure. So yeah, and of course, we can add a bit more besides writing as well, so that our users are entertained and engaged all the time. So besides planning, Astride does a lot more. So we will be talking about product launches, reviews, tours, which we are already starting offline, and of course safety tips, exploring new routes, clubs, groups to follow, and all that. So everything else is coming, as we speak. We are building the product. We've launched our first version, and we'll continue to grow with you guys. Thank you so much. All right. And, it's always the case. A lot of people ask us, why bikers? Why did you choose to build a product in this space? The answer is very simple. As a biker, I understand, but also all of you, who don't know who the bikers are. It's one of the oldest subcultures and one of the biggest subcultures in the world. There's nothing like bikers, the biking community out there in the world. It's started as early as the first motorcycling company in the world. We're talking about 1903, guys. So that since then there have been riding groups in the US, and of course the trend has grown from US to all across the world as we speak today. And these riders, these communities are very, very big and close knit. So they'll do everything what a brotherhood or a community requires from them. They will ride for you. They will fight for you. They will do everything and anything possible. It's more like a lifestyle or a family than just a bunch of people. And there are hundreds and thousands of these communities all over the world. And imagine the impact these guys can make when they come together. Their rallies in the US, I don't know if you know about Sturgis and Daytona. They have millions and millions of riders turning up to those events every year. Thanks to Corona, in fact, last year, 2 years, especially last year, the rallies have not been that big and that great, but still they happened, and a lot of riders turned up. And what also I think is impactful is a lot of these organizations are into great social work. Uh, People are doing rides, specifically for children, for autistic children, for differently abled guys, for female riders, for women's safety. Tell me what not, for environment, what not. So all these communities are helping, socially as well. So, and there's nothing more impactful than riding groups, making the real impact. And then what today's theme is all about, the purpose of riding, what we do in terms of. So let me briefly touch that point. So we all ride, there's a reason we all have started riding. There's a purpose behind everybody's, journey when they became a rider. So some are there for the freedom, some are there for the adrenaline, some get a kick, some want to move out from the stressful jobs or lives they have. So everybody has a different, kick. Everybody has a different why. Why are we doing that? But I want to touch upon today a very different aspect of all this. What is the purpose in terms of we being part of a society? We all belong to this world. When we travel, when we go out to these rural areas, which we love to do. I hardly find guys who would love to go to different big cities. They will always like to travel to offbeat locations, to places which are unexplored, to places which are quiet, full of nature. So when we do all these rides, when we plan these rides, what we tend to do is we plan, as per our itinerary. We plan to go, we stay, and come back. So what I want and what I urge everybody to do is, when we plan these, how do we support the communities? Because we are going from cities, we are polluting those, places where we go. We are bringing, like trash with us, and we most of the times we leave it there. So how and what other values are we adding to those communities? What are they gaining from us, except, of course, staying in the hotels or eating local food? There's much more to that. So I think it's very, very important to be mindful of, when we plan these rides. So we have been doing that. I have been doing that since, last few years, especially when we have been writing about riding the Indian motorcycle. So we have a mandate. Every Indian motorcycle ride in India, we try and support a girl-child education. Every time we plan a ride to a city, we go out in advance. We reach out to the schools in those localities, those regions, and we ask them, what do you need? What help do you need from us as riders? And then we go out, we go on rides, we talk to those guys. This is a photograph which you see. It's a school in Chittorgarh, very, very small village. In fact, I would say near Chittorgarh is called Bijaypur. So this is a school there, and we went there. We got a lot of things for these kids, and they were so happy. Look at the smiles on these faces. It's quite inspiring. It's fulfilling. It's gratifying. So I urge every biker out there, in terms of when they plan these rides, they should think about how can they add value to these schools. So we adopt a school. We talk about health. We do a lot more. Let me share some more examples of how we have been creating impact. So these are some pictures from schools in, of course, NCR and schools in Rajasthan. So I don't know, the pictures are small, but the big change, I would say, from like no shoes to a football team, you see the impact these kids are having. And when they see guys on bikes, and they get inspired. They want to do something big in their lives. And as a biking community, this impact which we can give, to these kids, it's phenomenal. It's beyond words. We can't explain that in words. We can't explain that in words. That is very, very important. And just moving on to that, what I want to talk about is, just give me 1 second. Okay, so how do we do this? It's very important because we have been planning rides with in the motorcycle, with groups and clubs I run. We have to be very, very mindful about planning. When we plan these rides, we talk about sustainable tourism, we talk about ecotourism, but when we plan the rides, it's very important to start focusing on the places we want to go to and what are the problems those places are facing. I think it's very, very important to research because every region in India, every village in India has specific problems which riders like us, our groups can help them solve. Some facing acute problems with safety, some are having health problems, some have education institutions or access to drinking water, like very, very basic problems like that. So it's our job to find those problems in advance and get there in groups and do that impact. So I'll share some tips and share some insights in what specific areas we can think when we plan rides, from staying at a particular space to eating food to other things. So let me quickly take you there. Right. So there are many, many ways as a community, and this community is not small. I'm not talking about a bunch of guys going out, holidays, in hills. It's much more than that. The whole ride. Of course, there are three basic things which we always look at is where we are staying, what we're going to be eating, and what all we're going to be doing there. So all these things, these three things support the rural economy, anyways. It's nothing but rocket science. But the mindset is, it's different when we think about sustainable, tours or rides, sustainable, eco-friendly. We don't think about how we choose a hotel. What we do is, we find the cheapest possible properties and book them, and of course see the basics. If there's a parking for bikers, if they have early or late check-ins or early checkouts, and very basics. We don't think about how will we add value. Like instead of a hotel, what we can do is choose a homestay. Help a family there. There are a lot of homestays coming in India. There are a lot of homestays in India, which are big, which can host large groups. There are families, who are doing this for a living. Why not to support them? Why not to go and live with those guys, in those smaller areas? Mostly these are not in big towns in the mountains. If you talk about mountains, they are in smaller villages around those areas. So, and they don't have access to bikers. They don't have access to tourists in the first place. That's what we need to do. We need to go to those places, remote places. Maybe there are networks sometimes there. But we need these, these guys. We need to help these guys. We need to support these guys who are, dependent on us for their livelihood. And then when we go out and eat, of course, when we are staying in homestay, if you can't find one, where you're going. So what about the food? We go to restaurants. We go to these. Malls or main shopping streets of these villages. Why not to try out at traditional dhabas or homestays for food or meals? If you can't stay, at least you can eat. That's the minimum you can do. So helping and supporting these homestays and small families, it's life changing for them. And I think each and every one of us owes to them, because we are going to these towns. We are using their resources. We are polluting them. We are bringing noise pollution to these places. We are bringing a lot of garbage, with us, which I don't think we take it backwards. We always dump it. So we should think and be mindful about all those, and then add that value. And then, of course, supporting the local businesses as well. When we buy crafts, when we buy gifts for loved ones, when we come back, I think it's important if we can think about buying something which is locally made, which is made by local artisans, craftsmen. Why not to support them instead of buying something which is made in China? It's very basic, it's very simple. But all these things, when you add up, it inspires these local communities. Fair trade, as Mohit says, it's very, 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 very important, and we are not mindful about it. I'm not finger pointing it to anybody. I think we all of us owe this to our communities. We should think about it, and we should plan our rides in such a way that these guys, from all over these places get supported. And these are not the only things which we, as a riding community, we can do. We can do much more. When we talk about responsible riding, when we talk about there's a sense of responsibility to the whole community. It's not only about gears. It's not only about writing information or following the protocols. It's much more than that. Sustainable tourism is the future. We can't. You guys know. I think 2 years back, one summer in the summer in Nainital, there were too many tourists out there, and people were sleeping in their cars. That's something I think which changed a lot of things. We can't do that in the future. We can't keep doing that. We can't go to places like this which are ecologically fragile. Infrastructure broke. The whole town can come to a collapse if something happens like this again. So we have to be very mindful of when we choose the places. I think all of us have to do something about this. And I just want to move on and talk about more ways how we can collaborate and contribute to these communities, rural communities. It can be rural, it can be urban. I'm not specifically talking about mountains or villages only. In the cities also, there's a lot of cities need help in terms of education, in terms of sanitation, in terms of cleanliness. So we have to do our homework. We have to connect it to the right guys, understand as biking communities what is it that we can do. Like great example, Mohit is giving, in nesting period times, especially in the cold weather, we can't be riding in the desert. We have to choose other period. So I'm going off. We were talking about this just before this talk has been starting about, a lot of 4x4, adventure is happening in the country. So we have to be again mindful of the seasons when we are doing these, and again map it up with the local ecology. If there's a season, specific season for cranes, for example, we can't go to places like that in that season. We shouldn't. So that's one example. So every ride we plan, there's something which we can be careful of, and we can help make those things. Coming back to my topic, I want to talk about more ways we can contribute, and some of these, they're just ideas, and what I want to do is to provoke, these thoughts when you plan your next rides. You should always think about these, plus of course many more ideas. But it's not only about the ideas; it's also about the execution of this. Let me talk about kids for that matter. We do for girl child education as Indian Motorcycle, as a brand supports that mission. So they help us also, in different ways they can. There are many more avenues, around kids. For example, we should inspire local kids. I remember one of the times we went to Mayo College in Ajmer. So we did an event there, of course, again with one of our IMRG riders. He is an alumni of Mayo College. The kids were so happy. They never saw such bikes in their lives. And I think the impact which the biking community that day has done to those kids, some of them will definitely think about doing something big in life, and of course not only riding those big motorcycles, but do an impact, trying to do a positive impact somewhere in somebody else's life in their lifetime. That's one example, I'm just giving you right there. Kids love it when they see bikes around them. They love when they see bikers around them. And I think that's one of the biggest motivations for us to keep doing what we are doing. Then we can organize motivational talks, in the schools, the places we are doing. Kids love stories. They love when somebody tells them what all is possible. We can take them for the rides. We did that in Ajmer, like in Chittor we did. So take the bunch of kids out, get them helmets on and go around the town. They will never ever forget that experience ever in their lives. That they have been on a bike with a rider, and imagine the impact which that can bring to that child. And of course, what I've been doing also is, like we have adopted a couple of schools in Rajasthan, but I think each and everyone as a community can adopt schools, in respective places, and do whatever that's required, from infrastructure to basic hygiene, washrooms, and then water, And there are tons of things which you can do for kids anyways. I think we all should take, and government only does their bit. We need to be very clear that it's of course responsibility of the government, but always we've seen there are gaps, and as bikers, as a community, we should always try to fill those gaps where kids get the best out of best. We all want our kids to go to best schools possible, but when we look at kids in those areas, trust me, if you look at the photographs I had shown earlier, these kids have no shoes. If you see, let me show you one second. I don't know if I can zoom in, but in the top right picture, they have no shoes. And this is Rajasthan. It gets quite hot in the summer. So, and this is one of the examples I'm just sharing with you guys that there's a lot to be done, guys, and let's do it together. And moving to the other ways we can contribute is health, which is again undermined in our country. If there are doctor riders between us, or if we can bring a doctor, take a doctor with us on our rides, we can organize health camps in these areas. A quick checkup point where if there are specific issues in a village or a town we're visiting, why not? Mental health. Nobody talks about mental health in India. It's such an underrated problem because it's not on the surface. We should spread the awareness about it. We should talk about how bikers can help, how we can help as a community to guys who are suffering from some sort of mental issue. Like there's this stress, there's this stigma around mental health, and we should do something about it. And of course, then there are areas of hygiene, social stigma, safety, and I think we should do our bit in promoting those awareness in those areas. And thirdly, I think we have been doing it in our respective capacities, is the conservation of environment. We need to conserve, we need to preserve local environment. We can't take it for granted. The local, especially the local flora and fauna, we should be very mindful of bringing whatever we are bringing with us from towns to those small places. We should travel plastic free. Absolutely no plastic. Even if we bring plastic, it's our responsibility to get the plastic back. I think I read somewhere yesterday only, Mount Everest, if you're climbing in the Mount Everest from now, you have to bring 8 kgs of trash back with you. That's a mandate. That's a compulsion now. So imagine like how much trash is there out there on Mount Everest. So guys, we have to take a pledge here. Whatever we are bringing from the cities in terms of food packets or whatnot, we need to bring those trash back with us. It's very, very important. And then I think there are a lot of groups I also know. We do conservation and plantation drives. We help specific areas to grow trees. In fact, so I think as a community, it's not only required to do this plantation right, but also to follow through. To make sure that if we planted trees last year, then we should have a checkup on those sites. Are they being taken care of? Are these sites well watered? And we should always be in touch with local guys to keep an eye and follow up on the upkeep of these plantation rights we do. So there are tons of ways, guys, that we need to focus. And I think this is the time when the world goes with them. There's so much more we can do to help these local communities. That this is the time. So from next time onwards, I think whenever you guys are planning, your rides to places, remote places, rural places, you should be mindful about these things and make sure that in some way or another you add those, you contribute and you support these families. And I think Mohita has a very good take on it, and I would like to maybe speak about it more in terms of what do we do when we go for rides. So what we are also thinking doing is maybe combining the riding with experience as well. So why not tracking with riding? Why not we do it, like when we go to Rishikesh, for example, rafting with riding. Why not yoga retreats? Why not meditation retreats? So as Mohit is mentioned here, there are a lot of ways you can engage and you can learn from these experiences, and I think being Indian, being in India, we have tons and tons of possibilities, where we can help and learn from these communities. I think it's up to us, guys, that we should take the onus on us, and whenever we are planning our rides, just make sure that we are contributing, we are doing something more than just right? So, as Mohit also said in the beginning, that there are a lot of architectural places, our ancient temples and shrines, they are diminishing. They need work, they need support, they need care from our side. So I think we can pick and choose our battles, we can pick and choose our causes, and of course work actively on those aspects. So that is something we all can do. So this is a very short introduction in terms of how we can start riding sustainably. How can we start riding keeping ecotourism in mind? So if you guys have any questions about this, if you guys have any comments, please do share. I don't want to talk all the time, which I have done honestly, but Mohit, let's start some conversations with a couple of people I want to ask here, and I think if they're listening to us, they will respond back in the chat.
So Aditya is asking, how would this app help reduce these obstacles? How the app, you've got this app, S-Ride.
Yeah. Okay, I just see his question. Okay, awesome. So as I said, Aditya, S-Ride is a ride planning app. Okay, and we are just getting started on that. So what best we can help you at this stage of ride planning is, the whole ingredient of a ride planning is where you're going, where you're starting from, what are the pit stops you're going to be taking, what's going to be weather like on those destinations. There are a lot of obstacles which we use and try different apps to find solutions to. You can do that on S-Ride, and then there's a whole community which is there to help you out. When you are planning to go on rides, you can talk to the communities you are part of. You can ask for suggestions and get help. And we are also creating our content now. We have just started to create the content in terms of what pit stops to take, what riding destinations to choose, what to do there locally. And with Mohit, we are also planning a lot of rides and experiential tours, which of course in the coming days and weeks you will hear from us. So we will be guiding you guys, helping you out, when you're planning those rides. So S-Ride eventually will become a platform where you can, the platform, and then you can choose your parts and go ride and help these communities. So Ankita, thank you so much.
I have a question. May I ask?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So my take on this is that as travelers, we are all passionate about something or the other. We might be interested in bird watching, or we might be interested in other things. So let your biking also, while it's your passion and it's your main focus for bikers, it could also be a great conduit. So you can switch roles from time to time. For example, if you've got passion B, you could leverage that passion B through your passion A. Passion A could be your biking, and then biking could then become a conduit to your passion B, right? So passion B is where I feel that you convert yourself into an ecotourist. It could be because that's your delivery pattern. That is how you deliver back to the planet. So even if it means that you pick up a bike which is low on carbon footprint, has low carbon emissions or XYZ or your own, or maybe you just empower people through different means. So my point is that when you come back home, when I come back home, I want my tourists to write about those things that they did, not about my appreciation of my company or the company that they traveled with or the experience that they had, but also bring forward the cause of all those people they met, all those things that they did, and project those so that people on their next trip can go and engage with them more. So
Absolutely.
so to be emissaries for those experiences or experience providers who are less, who are noticed and who are serving you, but they are not being talked about because the entire cream is taken by either the operator himself or the people who are conducting
Yeah.
the tour. So those people who are working behind the scenes, for example, a dhaba wala who's giving you awesome chai, or the chap who
Yeah.
tells you that this samosa here is made with this atta and it is given
Yeah.
to you in this way. So next time so you can make a complete story out of it.
I know.
Yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
yeah. So small
Stories.
things like that. Yeah, yeah.
And I
So
think once you were discussing this, Mohit, I think a brilliant thought came in my mind. I would love to share. You were talking about less carbon footprint, and I think we all the guys at our subconscious level, we always think about that. Of course, we are enjoying riding as a hobby, but somewhere we are also polluting the environment. Because most of these big bikes guzzle a lot of fuel. But I think what interesting can be done here is when we travel locally, if we can arrange locally some electric bikes or electric bicycles. Like it's mandatory to travel around in electric bikes, then not to pollute the local surroundings, and then of course you can use your bike to come and go back. But locally you can only ride electric bicycles or scooters or motorcycles, or all of them are available in India now. And that can be a huge impact, in terms of employment, in terms of environment conservation, in terms of pollution. I think it will add value to all these local communities immensely. So imagine like everybody riding in Leh on electric bikes or scooties. It will change the whole game.
Yeah. In fact, what you can do is do the round trips on cycles, and
absolutely.
and increase your muscle power and park your bikes in a place, and then take the bikes, so cycles from there, and go riding cycles, and then come back, and then while somebody has cleaned up your bikes, and they're shining again.
Yeah. I think we did that in Pangod, but the problem is cycling, you can only go to a certain distance, and especially in the mountains, it's quite tough to go up the hill.
Yes, yes.
I think the great way is to get electric bikes which have no problem like these, and you have a range of 1,500 kilometers, which is also good. So you don't go beyond that anyways.
So if that can be seen as the need, then for the motorcyclists, then the motorcyclist fraternity can demand that, and the local suppliers will start to act accordingly, because they are market driven. They are driven with the needs of the clients, and they will change their shape, size, delivery pattern, consumption, everything according to the climate that prevails there. So if you as bikers get together and say this particular destination is meant for this sort of experience, then those people out there will start to serve bikers in that manner, and that can be put across. Not in very large numbers, but it's something that can be.
We need to start. We need to get this started somewhere, Mohit, and I think which will also require help from the government as a policy, absolutely, because that will trigger the need of these initiatives as well. That's places which definitely require.
Yeah. So government may not give you money, but it'll give you all the support that it needs.
Money, you don't need money, but I think I think more than money is a will which we need.
Yeah.
And I think Deepak sir is saying something about the government. So I'll just read it out. So I would like to mention that the government has to understand and change some laws also so as to carry out cycles, electric scooters on our SUV, which is presently not allowed. Absolutely, I think Deepak ji, you're right. So government should, do these policy interventions from time to time and understand the dynamics. People are carrying electric bikes or cycles all across, different countries outside India, and I think India has very strange laws in some aspects. So you're right. We the government should take a notice of these and promote sustainable tourism in those areas. And yeah, so Akash is saying the livelihood depends. Of course, it depends on bike rentals. So they can be electric bikes, yeah, for that matter. So we are not taking away the bikes. It's just the motor which changes, and it's much more economically, logically sustainable in those areas. And I think we also have some typical issues in India, but I think we can reserve those for the next future talks. I don't want to move off the topic for today, but yeah, there are interesting ways where we riders can help these communities, and one of them is, of course, the bike rentals from local guys. And I think it's already happening in some places in India, especially in Leh. I think in Himachal, when you go out, you have to get local bikes. All right. Yeah, Yakash, you are absolutely right. We need to help them to get the bikes. That would help them to earn their livelihoods. Absolutely right.
So at Stride, I think you could come up with a set of guidelines for the bikers, or if there is already one, you could hand it out to us at the Adventure Tour Operators Association, and we could, because I'm in charge of developing the responsible tourism guidelines along with Milind Bede at ATOAI. So we can take this up and incorporate those for riding.
Absolutely, we would love to. Yeah. Let's take it offline. We have some guidelines we can happily share with you. And I think this has to be shared and promoted all across the fraternity in India, outside India as well. And I think I've been reading about this. A lot of countries outside are doing something for what they call as ethnic tribes. Especially in Australia, in the US, there are rides specifically, pertaining to the ethnic tribes of those regions. People travel to those communities, to tribals, and help them in different ways they can, which is amazing. I think some of this is happening in Northeast. I have to get more into that, but it's very important. All right. So Deepak, there's some comments coming up. There's a comment from Farheen. I think would you like to take that, Mohit, and then I can.
Yeah. So I want you to talk about your June or July tour. June tour. Also to people who, because you're going to Ladakh, and then I'd like people to join you for Ladakh tour so they know exactly what you're talking about, and how
Absolutely.
you do it. So if you've got any seats vacant, please talk a bit about it so that people can join you.
The best part of this community, being in the community, is that you don't have to sell. Everybody is a friend and everybody is so supportive. I can't tell you, Mohit, the ways I have been getting help from people. It's unbelievable, and I don't think it's possible anywhere else out there. The good thing about Ladakh trip is that we have been planning the ride in June. So we're starting from 3rd in from Delhi, going via Srinagar and coming back on 15th of June. So it will be 12-13 days ride. So we have finalized the route, and we are just finalizing a couple of more logistics on the route. What will be different in this ride? That we would like these riders to go offbeat. We don't want them to do city-to-city ride, which everybody else is trying to do in India. We would like to take them to offbeat places. Maybe stay a day or two in places which the riders are not used to stop. Like for example, we would love to stay a day extra in Nubra than staying in Leh. For example, we will be staying in Sonmarg than staying in Srinagar, for example. So there are a lot of changes we want to take, and want the riders to expose. We want them to expose to our local culture. There are a lot of heritage, a lot of shrines, a lot of temples, a lot of unheard places, which I don't think otherwise riders have access to. We're trying our best to take those.
You could even visit Hanle or for snow leopard, or you could even you could even go to Ule for snow leopard or to Hemis, and you could spend a couple of nights there. And it may not be the best time, but the point is sometimes you get the unexpected, maybe not a snow leopard, maybe a lynx, maybe maybe some great photos, with the local people, and anything which you won't find in a downtown area, or in the regular destination. So I think you could incorporate a couple of nights there.
Absolutely. We are like, we have already extended this, and you're right, Mohit. We can take specific stops where you mentioned about Henley and Hemis Monastery. I think it's great. And then we have 12 seats, and we have about 4 or 5 vacant seats as of now. I'll share more details on this, and I think Mohit, there's a link which we have shared.
Yeah, I just shared a link so that people can, if they're interested, they could fill up that link, and
awesome.
and we'll get their details, and then we know their intent, so we can send out information to them. So their data will be with you, so you go ahead and give your tour and the options that you have for them.
Absolutely, and we'll be doing experimental and of course tourism based tours every month. Of course, a lot of it depends on the COVID situation, how it pans out in the next coming months. But we will be doing rides every month, guys. So, and these guys will be very, very exclusive in terms of community engagement and immersive experience.
Yes, my journey is all about the vision of my company is to turn the entire ecotourism sector into ecotourism sector in India. So that's the vision that I have for my company. So what I'm doing is right now, I'm working on a chapter of how to be an ecotourist.
Wow.
So it's a full-fledged chapter. It can actually run into a few books if I start to elaborate that. But what I'll do is I'll do a checklist for you, for your tourists, that there are ways of being an ecotourist. There's the full science behind it, how to be
awesome. Yeah, I'm sure
I will share that. Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mohit. I think that's exactly what we need to do. In fact, we need to, as Deepak sir also says, we need to educate. We need to spread the awareness about eco-tourism, eco riding, or responsible tourism, as we can speak about. I think there's a lot of work to be done on the ground, and we need to give them the playbooks. We need to give them the right books about how to do that, how to become one. It's not only talking about you should be a responsible rider, a responsible tourist, but also to give them the tools which can help them do that. Amazing.
And this is work in progress, and there will be more intellect coming in, there will be more ideas coming in, and somebody else will be able to take those guidelines further to the next level. I'm going to just roll it out at one level, and then there'll be a whole lot of people who will sort of streamline it for motorcycling community.
Absolutely.
And then make it more specific and then become a great document. So
absolutely, happy to help and happy to contribute in that.
Anytime. And friends, whoever is here right now and wants to contribute and wants to be a part of Jitesh's mission for responsible riding, please get in touch with him. Jitesh, what's your email ID? Can you just say?
Yeah, I can just share. It's here.
Okay. Right. Okay. Great. Yeah. So friends, please get in touch with him, and I'm sure most of you already know him, but I'm just putting it down for you to copy it from the chat, and then be in touch with him so that it's a small little world that we have, and we just have to nurture it more, so so it nourishes our planet or whatever. Or we put less impact on this planet.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Mohit, I would also like to introduce Palvi ma'am here. She's been great inspiration for riders all across the planet. We must meet her in person and know her adventures and contributions in terms of riding, as well as she has broken a lot of records in India, being a female rider, and it's a matter of proud for us as a country. And what she is mentioning about local culture is, I think nobody else understands local culture than Parveen ma'am, because she's been traveling solo all across India, and I think the impact and the value which she has added is immense. And
so what we're going to do is we're going to invite her for one of the webinars to co-host with us, and then
absolutely,
roll out all the pearls of wisdom that she has for us.
Absolutely, I think it will be amazing to have her on.
Yeah.
And then the suggestions she has shared here, you already thanked, and they're perfect. They're very, very great. To carry our own bottles, when we ride, because it's easy to buy Bisleri and throw it away in the bin. It's very easy, but we have, again, I said, like, we have to be mindful about when we do these things. What that bottle will be in next 100,000 years. It will still be there. So why not to use the same bottle? And the beauty of traveling in mountains is you can drink anywhere. Water is all pure.
Yeah.
So any stream is good to have water.
So my heart broke because I visited Sokar at one point of time, and then I came back, and then 2 years later, a group had gone there and stayed in the same guest house, and then they came back and said that almost 100 meters or maybe more of that path that most of us would tread upon was strewn with broken beer bottles near Sokar, because they didn't know what to do with it. So they crushed those bottles and they put them there, thinking that once there's tar on it, it'll go underground or whatever. But the point is that if the government doesn't do that, then that broken glass is there, and that's also the passage for the animals, the wild animals, to go up and down. Correct. So if we're using beer bottles, what are we doing with it? Now, not just that. When I started to work upon this zero waste Himalayan, concept, my trip to Kedarnath was, my eyes welled when I saw that at the shrine they had no fresh flowers to offer to Lord Shiva, but they were offering plastic flowers. So which they were just recycling, because they were breaking huge amount of primulas and alpine flowers and things like that and bringing it to the shrine. If it was sustainable, no problem, but it's no longer sustainable because of the masses, the sheer numbers that are there.
Absolutely.
So, and then there was trash strewn about right from there throughout the way up to Tungnath and beyond, right, up to Chandrashila. And then, I didn't know what to do. I was so heartbroken. And anyway, when you run at that height, your sensibilities, your energies are so heightened because, it's all about Shiva. And then you're seeing all the trash around. So I couldn't hold myself. And I came back and I said, I need to do something. So So the whole purpose of these webinars is to bring people together to understand, and then many beautiful people are coming around and saying, hey, I want to do this with you. I want to do this with you. I said, I am just a pipeline. So just use me for whatever reason. And this is the best time to do it. A friend of mine in Netherlands told me, never waste a crisis. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not wasting a crisis. I'm saying, use me and make use of whatever I know, little or more. And let's do it for the planet. Let's just build the capacity. And when the time is right,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have the whole community, we have the fraternity, we have the army of riders who are willing to help, but they need guidance, they need support, they need to know how can they contribute, and I think Mohit, you, me, Esride, everybody else here can become that guiding light. I think Pallavi ma'am, Deepak sir, they have great cloud, they have great network, they have great influence in terms of these riders, and they can contribute massively, and I think next summer when these shrines open up, especially Badrinath and Kedarnath, I think we should do something about this. All these riders visit those places, and let's try to do campaigns around where they can bring some of these trash back, or whatever way we can contribute in those areas. I think let's do that. Just to, I'm just browsing through the comments. Okay, Aditya, lovely. We would definitely have you with us. So please do share your details, and we'll get back to you. write more about the ride. Deepak sir, I will definitely show, but there's some issues with uploading the documents. So, and also we are just ending the time. So I think I will share this with Mohit, and we can definitely show about what you also planning to do in responsible tourism. Thank you so much for your support, sir. Pallavi ma'am, thank you so much again for your support. I'm also sure that with Mohit, me, with your support, everybody else's support, we can create something really amazing out of this. And it's the need of an hour. And as Mohit said, we should turn the crisis into opportunity. And there's no better time than this one. So let's do our best and let's make most of it. Deepak sir also added very, very good point and important point is about honking and using the loud exhausts in the bikes, which again you must be knowing, Mohit, that with loud noises, these birds in our birding lodges, they get disturbed. They're not happy about it. So I think we should. I think a lot of this is police is already doing it, but as riders, we should be mindful and we should do our bit in that aspect. Cool. So, thank you, Aditya.
Great, friends. I posted a link here. Day after tomorrow, a friend of mine is coming from Central India to talk about tigers. Then we will have Brian coming here to talk about how to make use of photo equipment, binoculars, scopes. What you can carry, what you can't carry. All of that. And so there are many webinars like that. But the point is that they all talk about sustainability. They all talk about great ideas. So these webinars are you don't have to go anywhere, and I don't have to go anywhere, and we can still talk a huge amount of things that we can take back home. So then also with Jitesh and I, we will be bringing these webinars to you month after month after month. So I was telling Jitesh just now that it's like a Rubik's cube. I want to see the green and the red. So if you want to see red and yellow with somebody else, that's fine. That's no problem. But you continue to see the green and the red with me. And we will keep bringing those elements to our viewers as we go along and increase the funding. Yeah.
Absolutely, Mohit. Looking forward to many, many more webinars in the future.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for contributing in every way possible. So look forward to hear you guys.
Thank you, friends. Bye-bye. Namaskar. Shubha Ratri. Shubha Khair. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.